Welcome back to Big Time Fantasy Football with Zach and Nick. We got another banger for you today. So last night we threw together a little mock draft, a little startup mock draft for Dynasty, and we're just going to kind of go over the whole draft as a whole, the picks round by round that we liked, and then me and Nick's specific drafts, just to kind of go over what to expect for you guys. And before we get into all that, don't forget to drop a like and subscribe. We're a new channel. It's going to help us go off. So thank you. We would appreciate all the love that you would send our way.
All right, so this draft we did, it was a super flex mock draft with no third round reversal. Zach ended up picking at pick 2. I picked towards the back half of the draft just so we can get a little more range of different strategies you can use while you're drafting from different spots. So you want to get into your first guy that you picked?
Yeah. So typically I like going later and not getting a quarterback just because I feel like you can always steal some quarterbacks. But this time I went spot number 2 and grabbed Josh Allen, who was the QB1 last year despite all the turnovers. So if he can get that right, he's going to have a even higher ceiling. Still only, 27 years old. So young quarterback and a super flex to get started off. Not a bad route to go. And I wanted him. It's kind of who I was eyeing if I was going to be high. So that's why I went 2 instead of 1. I figured that Patrick Mahomes would go first, so I could snake chase Josh Allen. And as you're going to see as the draft goes on, we kind of last minute threw our mock draft together, so we got only like half the spots filled. So a few spots are going to be taken by the computer, which I don't think it's the end of the world. They don't draft just always the top guy, so there's kind of some strategy, to where they might draft like a real person. But yeah, between me and you, is there any picks that you liked at all?
Um, Picks that I liked, I really liked the value of Lamar Jackson at the 107. I think Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase got picked a little early for my liking. Maybe in a real draft, they trade down and get those guys if they're really set on them. But yeah, Lamar Jackson at the 107, you still get a stud pick, and you get the pick coming around to you a little bit quicker than if he was at 104, 105. So that's probably my value pick of the round.
Yeah, I don't hate the receivers going there. Like I said, usually I kind of wait more so on the quarterbacks. But yeah, that Hurts and Lamar getting a good starting younger quarterback in that range. I think that's pretty good. And then even Burrow, I mean, going 9,
Yeah.
that's pretty nice there. But you went with Anthony Richardson. What were you thinking there? How do you feel about that?
Yes. Well, I'm an Anthony Richardson guy. I typically get him pretty much. So I like drafting towards the back half of drafts when we're doing mock startup drafts. And Anthony Richardson is usually my go-to guy. He has an elite rushing potential. Obviously, he got hurt. He wasn't able to show it too much, but in the games that he played last year, he balled out. And I think if he can stay healthy, if he can get smarter with his rushing, I think he can ball out again and do it for a whole season. He does have the potential to be a overall QB1, and I think he's very young and that can sustain. If he can stay healthy, he can sustain that throughout his whole career. So,
Yeah. I love Anthony Richardson as well. I just love a good mobile quarterback, and he's got the braids. He's a big guy. He raps. I like it all. But
yep.
yeah, and he is a guy that scares me just because of how many injuries he did have last season. I think in this position I would have been tempted to take him, but I might have shied away. But if that's your guy, then way to go, get him there. And I also like this Marvin Harrison pick at the 112. Young as you can get as a receiver, and yeah, just taking him at the end of the first. I feel like that's pretty good. So good on Team 12, Mr. Computer there.
Yeah, I think Marvin Harrison, his value is going to be so insulated, even going into the next year and the year after. Like, he's a stud receiver. He has the pedigree. Obviously, his father was amazing when he was in the league. They have different play styles, but I think even if he doesn't show you everything in year one, he's still going to be wide receiver 4 or 5. Like, he's not going to drop in value too much compared to next year. So I
Yeah,
like that a lot. And
for
then
sure.
getting into this second round here, they the computer went and took receiver, then turned around and got Brees Hall, their RB1. And I don't hate that strategy, but then you're looking at later round quarterbacks. So um, then it came to me. I really wanted to get um, like a stud receiver in this mock draft, but I saw Justin Herbert there, an elite quarterback, and I decided to go 2 QB strategy just to lock down that position for years to come. And with the risk of Anthony Richardson getting injured and whatnot, I really wanted to get someone that I can trust as QB1 if Richardson did go down. So
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Herbert, absolute baller. Last season, I'm sure he would have been a round one guy. He falls to the top of the second round here. Um, yeah, I like Herbert a lot, and this is one of those young quarterbacks that you'll have for a long time. So you kind of got your starting quarterbacks locked up for a while there, which is pretty good. Like the Bijan pick here. If I was at like 112, I probably would have took Bijan there. Um, that's originally I was going to go to the end of the draft and try to grab him there, but you were at the end, so I decided to hop in the front just to get us some flexibility. Got Gibbs, McCaffrey, McCaffrey, baller, older guy, so it makes sense why he's down here. Got Hill, definitely earlier than I would have took Tyreek. How do you feel about the Tyreek pick?
um, I agree. He's definitely a win now guy. I mean,
Yeah,
he probably could have fell a little bit if I was picking there. I would have probably picked Garrett Wilson and Puka over him just because you're going to have them for a longer time. And this is Dynasty. You want guys that are going to stick around. He is still an elite player. He can give you elite production,
for sure.
but there's a timetable to it. So you really have to decide whether you want to win now or try and get something that you can win for the next few years.
Yeah, and maybe this is something I should have thrown out at the top, but my strategy always going into a real or a mock, startup is compete year one and win year two. Like that's kind of just the vision I have in set. So yeah, I usually try to get younger, established guys is kind of the range that I'm shooting for the most part, and then obviously some vets and some rookies in there mixed in. But that's kind of always been my draft strategy. Puka, good steal there. Justin Jefferson and Puka Nakua, that's a good 1-2 receiver for team four there. First tight end off the board, Sam Laporta. Makes a lot of sense there, I think, being the first tight end. I don't think I would have gone tight end yet, but it makes sense that he's the first one, was what I'm getting at there. And then back to me over here. I went with Jonathan Taylor. Like we've mentioned before in other videos, just the running backs seem to get shorter and shorter of how many really competent running backs there are. So getting Jonathan Taylor here, I was really hoping that he would fall this far. I'm really happy with that pick. He had a good season last year coming back. Did get bumped and bruised a little bit, but still, I think he has a lot to show, and I think he'll have an even better season this season than he did last season.
Oh, I love the Jonathan Taylor pick. I think he's definitely in that top 4 running backs in Dynasty, in my opinion. I think he deserves to be up there with like Christian McCaffrey and maybe even where Tyreek Hill went if you were looking to be younger. And I think he can be a stud for years to come still. I mean, he's definitely got some time. So
Yeah, for sure. And then we got the turn here. They went Jordan Love, A.J. Brown. Don't hate that. Young quarterback, established wide receiver. Not bad there. Team one shaping out pretty good so far. Then I went with T-Law here, Trevor Lawrence. Someone I'm really high on. If you watch some more of our videos, I talk about him a lot. I think he's one of the guys due for a bounce back season. He has all the talent in the world. He was a number one overall guy. He's going to keep getting his shot. He's a dual threat. He can move. He can throw. So if they just keep putting pieces around him, and if this year if his receivers want to catch, I think that would help a lot too, for sure. So hopefully they do. But yeah. What do you think about T-Law?
yeah, I mean, I don't hate the pick. I definitely think getting another elite level quarterback is good. I personally would have probably taken Kyler Murray over him, just the mobile upside, the rushing upside, and then I think I would definitely take T-Law over Jaden Daniels just because he's more proven. He's been in the league. He showed he can do it. But yeah, I don't hate the pick at all for that.
Yeah, I had both Trevor Lawrence and Kyler on my queue as they were coming up. Reason I went Trevor Lawrence over is just Kyler coming off that injury. He did look good, for just coming off the injury last season, but he did have that big injury and is still a smaller guy. So, and I think Trevor Lawrence, if I'm not mistaken, is still a couple years younger than him. Yeah, 24 to
Yeah,
26. So just a little age there
yeah.
factor.
I also Kyler Murray is tied to now Marvin Harrison, which I'm a big believer in. I
Yeah,
think
no,
that's
that's
going to
fair.
help him. And T Law, his receiving room just isn't. I mean, it's he's got more pieces, but they're just not as elite as
That's
Marvin
high end.
Harrison is
Yeah, no,
projected.
for
So
sure. I get that. And then so the Kyler went, not a bad pick there. I'm kind of liking how Team Four is shaping up. They're going really young, so obviously they're maybe not trying to. Well, I mean Jefferson, Puka are both young, but compete now type guys. But Jaden Daniels, he's setting himself up to be good for a while here. So
yeah.
shout out to
Computer
Computer
is
Team Four.
cooking. Yeah,
Yeah, he's onto something there. Uh, River went ETN. That's a good next tier, top of the next tier of quarterback running backs, I think.
yep. And then
Um,
some good young receivers next.
yeah, then a stretch of what, five receivers straight here.
Yep. And then that will lead me into my guy. I ended up just getting the last guy of the stretch, Chris Olave. I think he's still young enough. He showed that he can produce and be that wide receiver one. I'm not sure. Michael Thomas, it's not looking like he's going to really contribute to the offense. Is he still with the Saints?
He's unsigned as of right now.
So, yeah, Chris Olave definitely showed that he can be that wide receiver one in an offense. And as far as Michael Thomas, he's unsigned at the moment. And it's just going to give Chris Olave more opportunity. The Saints also drafted Spencer Rattler as a backup plan if Derek Carr doesn't step up his game and get better, which I know you like him as more of a sleeper type of guy, and he could work out in the NFL just because of his pedigree and what he did when he was younger. So
Yeah,
I decided to get a receiver here because I do like my receivers. I think they stay around the longest. They're going to give you more consistent production throughout their career, rather whereas running backs they fizzle out pretty quick and um, can get hurt very easily. So
yeah, good. I like Lave there, late there. If How would you have ranked those five receivers that went in the stretch there? Like, is Olave the one you wanted, or would you have gotten London before him, or Dunze,
um,
or
yeah, I out of these five guys, I probably put it as London, then Ayuk, then Neighbors, then Olave, and then Odunze. So I have Olave probably as my fourth out of the five. Um, but I still like the value here. You have a chance of getting a wide receiver one still. And, if you can piece together three wide receiver twos, you're still going to be able to win in fantasy and still be able to produce. So,
yeah, for sure. Then we got the turn here. Let's see. We had Saquon and Dak go. Not bad picks there. Obviously, older guy. Saquon's not old yet. He's just kind of worn. Not, I don't want to say worn, but he has tread on those tires for sure. Dak's getting up there in age now, but not bad by Team 12. And then you took the second tight end off the board. I think this is a pick. In hindsight, you said you didn't love as much, but I'll let you talk about it since it's your pick.
yeah, definitely didn't love it. I usually wait on tight end and get one a little bit later, but I saw Dalton Kincaid, who's a young option. He started producing as soon as Dawson Knox went out last year, and he had some great weeks for fantasy. And going into this year, they lose Stefan Diggs. That receiver room isn't too great. So I like Dalton Kincaid to get even more targets and have more production this year. Josh Allen's still going to be elite. So I like locking down the tight end position for a few years. There is some later round tight ends that I do like as well, but I figured that I'd get an elite option here. And then this is kind of where I decided to punt the running back position down the road a little bit. And this is where I'm turning into more of a productive struggle where I'm going to be selecting some decent players that are a little bit younger and are gonna, I can still, make playoffs, have a shot at the title, but I'm, playing for next year more. So
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And going past you, got a couple receivers. Waddle, I like that pick. Team Nine's looking good too. I think the computers are doing better than a lot of the people we invited in to do the draft, to be honest. But um, but yeah, they pick up Waddle there. I like that pick. I had him in my queue. I was hoping he'd drop to the end of the round. Didn't think he would, but kind of fingers crossed type thing there. Kyron down here is not bad at all. Obviously, he lost some value with Corum coming to town, so we'll see how that split plays out. You know, Pittman, another guy I had on my board. And we got another tight end going in Trey McBride. James Cook really wanted him just because I have him in our real Dynasty league and, was just going to kind of get my two running backs out of the way and then go heavy on receivers. But he went right before me, and I didn't love the Kenneth Walker, Josh Jacobs, Pacheco kind of bulk there. So I decided to go DJ Moore. It is a crowded wide receiver room, but Keenan Allen I think will be productive this year. I don't think he's going to fall completely off a cliff. He'll take a step back, but he'll be productive this year. And then next year, I think he's either gone or not as much of a factor. So yeah, DJ Moore had a great season last season. So, and hopefully the quarterback play is going to be even better. So I think he could have a great,
yeah,
great season
definitely.
for sure.
And, with the departure of Darnell Mooney, I know that they now have Keenan Allen and Rome Odunze. I think Rome Odunze is going to take more of that Darnell Mooney role, field stretcher, down the field. And Keenan Allen's going to eat a lot of the underneath targets. But DJ Moore is still going to have that big playability and still get all the intermediate range, third down, when they need a guy. So I do like DJ Moore still, even though it's a little bit more of a crowded wide receiver room.
Yeah, for sure. And like I said, I think it'll free up eventually. So after that turn there, I took Stephon Diggs, just a baller. He is going another guy. I got back to back crowded wide receiver rooms here, which I didn't love doing, but the town is easily there for both of them, and they should both be the wide receiver ones, or at least theoretically be the wide receiver ones in their offenses. And Houston, that was a great passing offense last season, and getting a top guy like Stephon Diggs in that system, I was a fan of. So that's what I went for.
Yeah, hopefully Stephon Diggs can take that wide receiver one role and, keep it. He's with two young guys who really showed out last year. He is linked to a great quarterback, so, I mean, even though he's older, I do see the path there for success for him.
Yeah. Okay.
Moving on down this round, it was the two running backs you'd mentioned, Josh Jacobs and Isaiah Pacheco. I think they can be back end RB1s, maybe high end RB2, but I think they were both just filling a spot there. It was the computer, but then we got what I think is a great value, Jared Goff at the 5.5 as a QB2 for Adam. He picked both guys, Brock Purdy and Jared Goff, that I think are great values where he took them. Both were really productive. They're in good offenses that, only got better this past offseason. So,
Yeah, he
I
went
like
kind of
those.
high floor guys for
Yeah.
his quarterback, which no problem with that. No super
Mm-hmm.
flex league at all. Two, I also think was some good value there. Got another rookie quarterback after Zay Flowers and Drake May. Yeah, and then White, Higgins, obviously, and then you went with DK. What was your thinking for DK there?
Well, I really wanted T. Higgins. I wanted him to fall to me because, maybe he gets traded this season. Maybe he goes to a new team next year, can be that wide receiver one. And he's also very productive, even with the Bengals behind Jamar Chase. But when he got taken, I switched over to DK Metcalf, another guy that I really like. I like the value here. He is still a stud. He's got that alpha build, and Tyler Lockett's getting older, and JSN's coming up, but he's not fully developed and up yet. And they also play two different styles. So I think DK Metcalf is a great value in the 5th round. I think he can be a wide receiver one in fantasy. Um, so yeah, I like him to shore up my wide receiver room. I know I didn't get a stud in this mock draft, so I really wanted to just kind of hammer some wide receivers in the next few rounds just to get that wide receiver spot taken care of.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Like DK, he's a monster, physical specimen, absolutely for sure. Yeah, and now that we're headed kind of into the sixth round later on here, we're gonna pick up the pace a little bit, just kind of talk about just a few guys every round that we like, our little less guys, and touch on our picks real quick. So you got Mixon, you got your first running back off the board. He was someone that was on your sleepers earlier, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
So I think we both got a couple guys of our sleepers. Yeah, Mixon, good pick. Anything you want to touch on him?
Yeah. I was at this point, I needed a running back, at least one guy that I can trust in there pretty much every week. And I think Mixon has produced throughout his career, kind of been someone that is generally slept on compared to his production. And so I like him as my RB1 slot.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then
Then we got
going
another
down,
grouping of tight ends going on there. JJ McCarthy, another rookie quarterback. Avery went back to back rookie quarterbacks. That's a risk, but something there. Getting all the way down to my pick, Worthy. This one kind of upset me just because I went a little rankings whore here. I'm higher on Lad McConkey than I am Xavier Worthy, but I'm like, oh, he's so much later. I should have just gone and got my guy, I think. But Worthy does have a chance to ball out. He has a chance to be the number one wide receiver for Patrick Mahomes. So, yeah, if this were the case, I would just have to hope that it does play out that way and Lad doesn't ball out the way I think he can. I went my first tight end after the turn here with Jake Ferguson. Yeah, someone I have in my real dynasty. He's young. I think he was the tight end 9, tight end 8 last season in a half PPR, and still a young guy. So should be around for a while. Should be some talent there.
and that
And
kind of
then,
surprised me. You took him over Kittle. Evan Ingram had a good year, and David Njoku had a good year last year. So that kind of surprised
honestly, I
me.
think I was
Did you just go
closest
for
to
youth?
Njoku
Yeah.
to honestly going with them. Evan Ingram actually too, but Kittle, he's older now, has the wear and tear, so not someone that I was really looking at too much there, even though he's an absolute monster.
Gotcha.
Anyone you want to touch on before your guy here?
I don't think so. Bryce Young, I think he's a good value. That offense should be better, so I like him in this round in that spot that he got taken and getting going down.
I
I
do like the
drafted,
JSN pick too.
yeah, JSN. Yeah, didn't produce how he wanted to last year, but definitely should be better. He's a year older, um, getting more in the flow of the offense. Then getting into my pick, Keon Coleman, a guy that I'm really high on from this past draft class. I wanted to get a young receiver that has an opportunity to take over as the wide receiver 1 in Buffalo. And then I went and turned around and I wanted to get Terry McLaurin as well, just to get another receiver, but he got taken right before me. So I went with Mike Evans, a guy that's productive and can give me a year, maybe 2 years in this Tampa Bay Bucks offense that hasn't really changed much. And he was great last year. So I like the upside there.
Yeah, Team 12 got my boy Lad. Hopefully they're high on Xavier Worthy. I can
Hmm,
get like a Lad and a Chase Brown from them or something. I don't know.
there we go.
But yeah, simming through. Keon Coleman, Mike Evans, Cooper Kittle. Yeah, another couple tight ends off the board. Next kind of grouping of running backs here, I went with Bo Nix just to have a young guy. My thinking behind this is I'd like to get a young quarterback just because if he has a good start or even shows flashes, then I would kind of trade him off to a rebuilding team. If my team goes well and someone else's team isn't going well, I can trade for a more veteran quarterback. They can trade back and then kind of just get some more value. But Bo Nix, he's guaranteed to be the starter basically. So I think that was a good value pick there. And then around the turn, my guy Zamir White was someone that I mentioned again in our sleeper videos. We both kind of got some of our sleeper guys here. But yeah, he's a starting running back going all the way down here in round 9, top of round 9. So yeah, and they're a running offense, so he'll get a lot of work. I almost went Christian Kirk. I was kind of Christian Kirk, Samir White, but I needed a RB2, so went with Samir White.
And then going down, Christian Watson was taken in the middle of this round. a guy that I value pretty highly. I think he has a chance of taking over as wide receiver one in the Green Bay offense and keeping that role. Then we get to my next pick,
I
Will
like real
Levis.
quick. I like Njoku there
Yeah,
too. That's I feel like there's a
Njoku,
good value for him. But yeah, go
good
ahead to your
value
next pick.
for sure. I like Will Levis. That's who I took, and it just kind of shores up my quarterback room to get that guy I can plug and play. Maybe if he has a good week, or if Anthony Richardson does end up getting hurt or something happens, then I can always have another guy that I think could be elite and definitely will be a starter for the next year or two, maybe. Um, then I turned around, went with another young piece in Xavier Legette, a guy, another guy with a wide open wide receiver room. I was really just hunting for opportunity from young guys that are coming in, and I got it in Keon Coleman and Xavier Legette. And from with how my team played out, I don't hate taking two stabs at guys that I have opportunity for elite production, but they're my wide receiver four, so I don't need to rely on them.
Yeah, 100%. And then going on, Nick Chubb, someone I considered taking with my last pick, just because I feel like he dropped a lot because of the injury, but I think he can hopefully at least bounce back from it. Someone I definitely would have took if he fell to the end of this round 10 here. Going. I went with Adonai Mitchell, another guy. Like I just like to sprinkle a few rookies in there just because their value can go up. And either I have a young guy or I can trade off a young guy to a rebuilding team. Just adds the flexibility there late in rounds. And yeah, he has a chance to fight for the wide receiver too. Probably would be his best chance there. But he'll at least get snaps regardless. Zach Moss, another young running back. Just wanted to add another running back for depth. I think not a value pick there. Don't have too much to say about him, but I liked the pick personally.
Um, Had rookie Troy Franklin taken. All right,
Penix
and
not
then
bad. That's his third quarterback. I like him getting Penix. I would have got a fourth quarterback if I was him. Looks like he didn't. But I like the Penix pick this late.
yep. And then I ended up. Whoa, I lost my place.
Got Muth in
And
the
then
11th.
I ended up.
Yeah,
What?
I was just saying
Yeah,
got Muth in the 11th since you said you lost your place.
yeah, yeah. All right, and then I took Pat Fryermuth. I think just a guy that when Dalton Kincaid's out, or if it's a running week for them, I can plug in Pat Fryermuth. I think he has a chance to be high end or mid end, tight end one this next year, and he's still young. I believe he's only like 26, 25. So he's has the ability to stick with my team if I'm rebuilding as well. Then I went around and I finally got my RB2 and Gus Edwards. He should have a lot of opportunity. I actually paired him with J.K. Dobbins, so that way I can for sure get a starting running back to fill out that RB2 spot.
Unless
And we
Fidel
know Jim,
sneaks in and takes it.
yeah, unless Fidel comes in and ruins my plans, which very likely. But we know that Jim Harbaugh wants to run the football, and we saw they got rid of all their receivers. They picked up a couple rookie receivers, but I think they're going to lean heavily on that running game. So I like that running back room in my roster.
Yeah, going through this round, I like the Kendra Miller pick just for the chance that it could have, you know, Jerry Judy, not really high on Cortland Sutton. Um, yeah, definitely has a chance to be the wide receiver one again in that with that offense, and hopefully it's improved with my boy Bo Nix. So if Bo Nix takes off, then Cortland Sutton will too. So kind of paired them together. Raheem Mostert. Last season I was completely out on him. I thought he was just going to fall off a cliff. I think he did the opposite. Somehow he took a step up, But if he can even do half of that this season, then I think a 13th round pick for my RB, four? Not bad.
And then
Yeah,
Keaton
go.
Mitchell is probably my favorite this round. Um, my buddy Henry took him, and he showed that he's very explosive. He showed that he doesn't need too many carries to get it done. He can make those big plays. He's behind Derrick Henry this year, and we'll see what happens going forward as far as next year if he can take over. Um, but yeah, definitely a young talent that I like a lot, especially at this point in the draft.
Yeah, then you went with Dobbins, like you said, just to
Mm-hmm.
ensure that hopefully you get the Chargers' best starting running back there. Dobbins, they say not to put all your eggs in one basket. I took him in every redraft league last season, and he almost made it to halftime. So that was of the first game. So that's great. Uh,
Yep.
Say I
Yep.
really learned my lesson because I took Dobbins in two redraft leagues that I did, and then I had Kadarius Toney in both redrafts and our Dynasty league. So yeah, I guess that's why you don't stack players like that.
Yes, sir. When it works, it works. When it doesn't, it's brutal.
Foolish. I
So,
like
oh yeah.
you got Wicks.
Hmm.
Um,
A guy who he showed a decent amount last year. That wide receiver room, it's all young players. You got four young guys in there. One of them has to take a step up and be the guy. I just took a late round shot on Dontavian.
yeah, I like Gabe Davis. I was hoping he would drop to me in this next round here. I like him that deep. Just he was hit or miss with the Bills. Always he would always have a boom or bust game, but hopefully he can get some more consistency with T Law here. No one else I'm really too interested in talking about. Zeke, shout out to Zeke. Lockett, I think he's on a downward spiral. Me, I just realized I didn't have I wanted a backup tight end. Tucker Kraft was the best option in my eyes. Not great, but just another tight end option. Cooks, that was a steal in my eyes, just because he's the wide receiver too, over for a good passing offense in Dallas, a good overall offense in Dallas. So I was happy to see Cooks still floating around there.
Yeah, that's great value there for you. I mean, the offense didn't change too much as far as the passing game. They didn't get too many weapons in the draft.
Yeah, and
They
we
really
lost
didn't get
Gallup,
any
so there
weapons.
should be
Yeah,
some more touches to go
yeah.
around. Uh,
And then,
cool. I mean, Pop Douglas, the guy that you mentioned, kind of as one of your extra guys in our sleeper video, and Brendan Rice, you had mentioned both of those. Funny how we get our sleeper picks, both of us, but
but yeah, I mean, I just like the opportunity of these guys. Later round pick, you really just shooting for upside. Someone that you think can have the opportunities going forward in younger guys. So,
you could have got Vidal. Really locked in that Chargers and
oh
really
yeah,
made sure you had the starter. Vidal there, not a bad pick. Ray Davis, I like him as a handcuff. If he had ETN, no, he didn't get ETN, but I like Ray Davis as not ETN, but
James
James
Cook.
Cook. Going on. Juju was my deepest sleeper. He wasn't even projected. If there was 18 rounds, I still think he wouldn't have been projected to get drafted. But I think he is a very sneaky guy that could give you a wide receiver 3 type season if things go right. So hopefully that's a steal there.
Yeah.
But yeah, cool. That's the full draft. Much longer video than we typically do, but we haven't done a mock draft yet, so we just wanted to kind of get into doing that. It's pretty fun. I had a good time. I liked doing the draft. I was driving during the beginning part of it, which I don't recommend. But they say don't text and drive. They don't say don't draft and drive, so I think it's fine. Um,
All right, so going back over each of our teams with Zach's, you have at quarterback position Josh Allen, Trevor Lawrence, and Bo Nix. Definitely got those two stud guys and Bo Nix who should have the opportunity to start. And then your running back room, you got Jonathan Taylor, Zamir White, Zach Moss, and Raheem Mostert. So you got one definite starter. Zamir White should be the starter as well, and we'll see with Zach Moss. But kind of a piece together RB room after Jonathan Taylor. But I mean, in Dynasty, you really running back is kind of the last position you want to focus on. So I don't hate that at all. And then you got some really good production. I think you got quite a few value picks here in your wide receiver room. DJ Moore, Stephon Diggs, Xavier Worthy, and Adonai, both exciting young rookies. And then Cortland Sutton, who I like the value of a lot as well.
Yeah, and this is a team, the way I drafted it, would definitely look different by the end of the season, just depending on how things go. I have the option to easily flex into a rebuild, which with this team built, I don't think I would need to do at all. But definitely can flip some of these young pieces easily to get some high end pieces, as I mentioned a few times. Biggest weakness, obviously, is the running back, but I think between White and Mostert and Moss, one of them will have a low end RB2 season at least. So just kind of got to throw darts on those. Yeah. I like the way my team shaped out.
Turned out pretty good.
Over here, you went with Richardson, Will Levis, Justin Herbert as your quarterbacks. Good younger guy, group of guys there. Levis, I know, is someone that you're kind of a little higher on consensus than, so hopefully he can do his thing. Richardson, hopefully he can stay healthy, and Herbert, I think he's just good. Not too much to say about him. And then your running back room got Mixon early, and then you got the pair of Chargers running backs. So hopefully one of them can beat out Vidal for that spot. And then you got those are your only running backs, right? Yeah.
Yep.
Then your wide receiver room, you got a good, pretty mix of youth here. You got Olave, you got Keon Coleman, you got DK Metcalf, you got Leggett, Wicks, Douglas, and then Rice. So definitely a young receiver room. We'll have to get some of those guys proven to really have your depth there, but they should be a group that you can stick around with if they work out for a while. Got Kincaid and Fryermuth. Not a bad pair of there. Kincaid definitely a top 3 tight end. Still a young guy, so good there. And then Fryermuth, has shown a lot of flashes, so hopefully he can just take his game to another level. But you don't really need him to, as he's your backup right now.
Yeah, and like we said, I usually don't take a tight end that quick, but I do love the talent of Dalton Kincaid. He's still young. He can be good for years to come. And if I need to rebuild, I can keep him on the roster. So
Cool. Yeah, well, like I said, that was a lot of fun. Thanks for tuning in. If you stuck around this long, then we love you so much. Make sure to give us a like and subscribe. It's going to help us so much. Be big time, like we always say. So thank you again for tuning in, and you guys have a great day.
thanks for watching, guys.